They called him too small, too weak. A boy from Rosario, Argentina, whose legs carried not just a ball, but a dream far heavier than his tiny frame. Doctors said he would never grow tall enough. Scouts said he would never be strong enough. But Lionel Messi proved them all wrong. From the dusty streets of Rosario to the grandest stadiums on earth, he didn't just play football. He redefined it. This is not just a story about goals, trophies, or records. This is the journey of a boy who turned doubt into destiny and became the GOAT of modern football. Rosario, Argentina, a city buzzing with noise, energy, and the heartbeat of football. In the working-class neighborhood of La Bajada, a small boy named Lionel Andres Messi was born on June 24, 1987. His family wasn't rich. His father, Jorge, worked at a steel factory. His mother, Celia, cleaned houses to support their 4 children. Life was simple, sometimes difficult, but always filled with love. And for young Leo, there was one thing that mattered more than anything else: the ball. From the moment he could walk, Messi was dribbling a football through narrow streets, past neighbors' doorsteps, weaving between cars parked along dusty roads. His grandmother, Celia, who played an enormous role in his life, was the one who encouraged him every step of the way. She would walk him to the local pitch, cheer for him louder than anyone, and remind him, "Never stop playing, Leo." Even at just 5 years old, his touches were different. While other children ran after the ball like a swarm of bees, Messi glided, quiet, focused, almost as if the ball was tied to his feet. His older brothers and cousins often towered over him, rough and strong, but Messi never backed down. If he was knocked over, he'd bounce right back up, eyes locked on the ball. Football wasn't just a game for Messi, it was his world. And that world started to notice. At age 6, Messi joined his first organized club, Grandoli, coached by his father. On that small pitch, his gift became undeniable. Parents watching from the sidelines whispered, "That little one, he's different." The ball stuck to him like magic. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the biggest. But his balance, vision, and natural understanding of the game left adults shaking their heads in disbelief. Soon, he was recruited by Newell's Old Boys, one of Rosario's proud football institutions. For the next 6 years, Messi dazzled in the red and black jersey, scoring nearly 500 goals in youth competitions. His reputation grew. Local newspapers wrote about the little magician, and rival teams dreaded facing him. But behind the joy of football, a storm was brewing. By age 10, Messi's parents noticed he wasn't growing like other children. Despite his incredible talent, his body remained unusually small. Concern turned into worry when doctors delivered the devastating news. Messi suffered from a growth hormone deficiency. Without expensive medical treatment, he would remain small, fragile, and vulnerable, not just in football, but in life. The treatment cost around $1,000 per month, an impossible sum for the Messi family. Jorge and Celia tried everything, reaching out to relatives abroad, applying for government assistance, hoping that Newell's Old Boys might cover the expenses. But doors kept closing. Imagine being a child, carrying the weight of your family's dreams, your city's hopes, and then hearing, "You may never grow tall enough to play professional football." For many, it would have been the end. But for Messi, it became the fire. His grandmother Celia kept reminding him, "Leo, one day you'll be the best player in the world." Tragically, she passed away before she could see him achieve it. But Messi would later point to the sky after every goal, his quiet tribute to the woman who believed in him when the world didn't. By the time he turned 12, Messi's future hung in the balance. His talent was undeniable, but his body needed help. And just when it seemed like his dream might fade, a miracle arrived, from thousands of miles away, across the Atlantic. By the late 1990s, Messi's reputation in Rosario was growing fast, but so was the weight of his illness. His family's savings were stretched thin, his parents exhausted from chasing help that never seemed to arrive. Local clubs admired Messi's skill but hesitated to cover his costly hormone treatments. Even Newell's Old Boys, the club where he had scored hundreds of goals in the youth ranks, eventually said no. Jorge and Celia faced an impossible choice: let their son's dreams slip away, or take a gamble bigger than anything they had ever imagined. The opportunity came from across the ocean. FC Barcelona, one of Europe's biggest clubs, had heard whispers of a tiny Argentine boy with extraordinary talent. Scouts had seen Messi dominate youth matches, weaving through defenders twice his size. His name was spreading beyond Argentina, fast. In September 2000, Jorge packed a suitcase and took 13-year-old Lionel on a flight to Spain. It was Messi's first time leaving his homeland. For a shy boy who barely spoke above a whisper, the leap from Rosario's dusty fields to Barcelona's glittering lights felt overwhelming. He was small, nervous, and unsure. But once he stepped onto the pitch, everything changed. Messi trained with Barcelona's youth team, and within minutes, jaws dropped. Coaches and scouts couldn't believe what they were seeing. His balance, his dribbling, his vision. This wasn't just talent, it was genius. Carlos Rexach, then Barcelona's sporting director, later admitted, "We knew we couldn't let this boy slip away." But there was a problem. Messi didn't have a contract. And Barcelona, a massive institution, had never signed a player so young from another continent, especially one with a medical condition that required expensive treatment. There were doubts. Meetings stalled. Bureaucracy dragged on. Jorge grew anxious. He had risked everything, bringing his son across the Atlantic. If Barcelona said no, the family would return to Argentina humiliated, Messi's future uncertain. Then came the famous moment that has now become football folklore. On December 14, 2000, at a lunch meeting in Barcelona, Carlos Rexach was so impressed and desperate to secure Messi's future that he scribbled a commitment on the nearest thing he could find, a paper napkin. The words were simple but life-changing. In Barcelona, on December 14, 2000, in the presence of Mr. Minguella and Horacio Gagioli, Carlos Rexach, FC Barcelona's sporting director, hereby agrees, under his responsibility and regardless of any dissenting opinions, to sign Lionel Messi, provided that we keep to the agreed amounts. That napkin became Messi's first contract. It was more than a signature, it was a lifeline. Barcelona agreed not only to train Messi, but also to cover the cost of his hormone treatments. For the first time in years, the weight lifted from Jorge and Celia's shoulders. Their son's dream was alive again. But the challenges weren't over. Messi was still just a boy in a foreign land. He barely spoke Spanish with the Catalan accent, struggled to make friends, and often felt isolated. Nights in Barcelona were cold and lonely, far from his beloved Rosario and the warmth of his grandmother's embrace. Many times, he thought of giving up. Yet every morning, when he laced up his boots, Messi remembered why he was there. On the pitch, he wasn't shy. He wasn't small. He wasn't sick. He was unstoppable. At La Masia, Barcelona's famed youth academy, Messi trained alongside boys older and bigger than him, but none could match his brilliance. Coaches designed drills to challenge him, but he made them look effortless. Defenders tried to kick him down, but he slipped past like smoke. He didn't just play football, he danced with it. By 2003, Barcelona promoted Messi to play with the older youth categories, and soon he was training with the senior team. At just 16 years old, he made his unofficial debut in a friendly against FC Porto. The first touch, the first dribble, fans saw a glimpse of something extraordinary. The boy who had once been told he was too small, too weak, and too sick was now wearing the jersey of one of the biggest clubs in the world. And Barcelona wasn't just giving Messi a home. They were giving him a stage. No one knew it yet, but history was being written. The napkin contract, the shy teenager, the leap of faith. These would all become legends retold for generations. For Messi, the journey was only beginning. Soon, the entire world would know his name. La Masia, the legendary farmhouse-turned-academy that had produced some of Spain's greatest footballers. For Lionel Messi, it was both a sanctuary and a battlefield. When he arrived in Barcelona at just 13, Messi wasn't the loud, confident kid who cracked jokes in the locker room. He was quiet, reserved, and often kept to himself. While other boys laughed and teased each other after training, Messi sat silently in the corner, sometimes sketching in a notebook, sometimes just tying and readying his boots. His silence made some teammates think he was shy. In truth, he was simply letting his football speak for him. And speak it did. On the training pitches, Messi was untouchable. Even among gifted youngsters, his talent stood out immediately. Coaches watched in disbelief as he dribbled through defenders as if they weren't even there. The ball seemed glued to his feet. He didn't run with the ball. He glided with it, changing direction in a blur that left opponents dizzy. Still, life at La Masia wasn't easy. He missed his family in Rosario, especially his mother and siblings, who had stayed behind. He struggled to adapt to a new culture, new food, and a new language. Nights were often lonely, and the weight of expectation pressed heavily on his small shoulders. But when doubts crept in, Messi reminded himself why he was there. He wasn't just chasing a dream for himself. He was carrying his family's hopes too. By the age of 15, Messi was already playing with boys several years older. And he wasn't just competing, he was dominating. Youth tournaments in Spain quickly became showcases for Messi's brilliance. Spectators gasped as he slalomed through entire defenses, scoring goals that looked like something out of a video game. Barcelona coaches began whispering, "This boy, he's different. He could be special." In 2003, at just 16 years and 145 days old, Messi was called up to play in a friendly match with Barcelona's first team against FC Porto. He was tiny, barely filling out his jersey, but the moment he touched the ball, fans saw it. That spark, that magic. It was clear they were witnessing the birth of something extraordinary. But Messi wasn't handed success, he had to fight for it. The early 2000s were turbulent years for Barcelona. The club was in transition, desperate to rebuild a winning squad. Big names like Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and Deco were brought in to restore glory. Messi was just a kid in the shadows, trying to prove he belonged among giants. His chance finally came on October 16, 2004. Barcelona were playing Espanyol in a heated Catalan derby. With just 8 minutes left, manager Frank Rijkaard turned to the bench and called Messi's name. At 17 years old, he stepped onto the pitch, becoming the youngest player ever to debut for Barcelona's senior team in an official match. The moment was short, but it was historic. Fans at the Olympic Stadium in Montjuic didn't know it yet, but they had just seen the beginning of an era that would define football for the next 2 decades. Less than a year later, on May 1, 2005, Messi scored his first official goal for Barcelona against Albacete. It was a classic Messi goal, running in behind the defense, a delicate chip over the goalkeeper, kissed by his left foot. As the ball floated into the net, Ronaldinho, already a global superstar, wrapped his arm around the teenager in celebration. It was a symbolic moment, the torch being passed. From that day forward, Messi wasn't just another academy kid. He was the future of Barcelona. Still, it wasn't all smooth sailing. His body was fragile, his growth treatments ongoing, and injuries frequently sidelined him during his early years. Critics questioned whether his small frame could handle the physicality of professional football. But every time he returned, he came back stronger, hungrier, more determined. What truly set Messi apart wasn't just his skill, it was his mindset. He didn't crave the spotlight. He didn't boast or demand attention. He let his feet do the talking, and they spoke a language the world was eager to hear. By 2006, Messi was no longer the shy boy hiding in the corner of the locker room. He was wearing Barcelona's number 19 shirt, playing alongside Ronaldinho and Eto'o, and dazzling fans on the biggest stage of all, the UEFA Champions League. And as he began carving up defenses in Europe, whispers grew louder. Could this kid be the next Maradona? It was a dangerous comparison, one that had crushed many young Argentines before him. But Messi wasn't here to be the next Maradona. He was here to be the first Messi, and the world was about to witness exactly what that meant. By the mid-2000s, Barcelona was reborn. With Ronaldinho dazzling the world, Samuel Eto'o striking fear into defenders, and a new generation of La Masia talent rising, the club was ready to dominate. Yet in the middle of it all, a teenager with shy eyes and a left foot that spoke louder than words was quietly writing his own legend. Lionel Messi. After scoring his first official goal in 2005, Messi's ascent was unstoppable. His style was electric, low center of gravity, lightning-quick acceleration, and a dribbling technique that made defenders look like training cones. He didn't run at opponents. He hypnotized them, swerving left, right, then exploding past with the ball still under perfect control. But talent alone wasn't enough. He had to prove himself on the biggest stage. In 2006, at just 18 years old, Messi made his Champions League debut against Chelsea. The world watched as the teenager tore through Jose Mourinho's formidable defense. humiliating experienced players with ease. Even though Barcelona didn't win that tie, everyone remembered the kid with the number 30 jersey who played without fear. By the end of that season, Barcelona won both La Liga and the Champions League. While Messi wasn't yet the central figure, his flashes of brilliance made it clear he wasn't just another youngster. He was the future. The turning point came in March 2007, when Barcelona faced Real Madrid in El Clasico at Camp Nou. Messi, only 19 years old, scored a stunning hat-trick in a 3-3 draw. Each goal was a masterpiece of timing, precision, and raw instinct. That night, the world realized this wasn't just a promising talent. This was a phenomenon. Newspapers declared, "A star is born." And yet, the best was still to come. Messi's rise coincided with Barcelona's golden era under manager Pep Guardiola. In 2008, Guardiola took charge and built a team that would change football forever. His philosophy of tiki-taka, short, precise passing, and constant movement, was perfectly suited for Messi. Surrounded by legends like Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, and Carles Puyol, Messi found the perfect environment to flourish. Guardiola made a bold decision. He moved Messi from the wing to the center, creating the role now known as the false nine. Instead of hugging the sidelines, Messi drifted into midfield, confusing defenders, dictating play, and exploding forward when least expected. The results were devastating. In the 2008-09 season, Barcelona achieved the unthinkable, a historic treble, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. And at the heart of it all was Messi, who scored in the Champions League final against Manchester United with a rare header, leaping above taller defenders to seal Barcelona's triumph. From that moment, Messi was no longer just Ronaldinho's heir. He was Barcelona's leader, the face of a new dynasty. But what made Messi special wasn't only the goals, it was the moments. The slaloming run against Getafe in 2007, echoing Maradona's goal of the century. The demolition of Arsenal in 2010, when he scored for goals almost single-handedly. The Champions League masterclasses where defenders could only watch in despair. The boy who had once been told he was too small was now the biggest thing in world football. Sponsors lined up. Children across the globe wore his number 10 shirt. Stadiums erupted every time he touched the ball. And yet, off the pitch, Messi remained the same. Quiet, humble, almost awkward in interviews. He wasn't interested in fame or controversy. He lived for football, his family, and the joy of the game. Fans adored him not just for what he did with the ball, but for how he carried himself, with dignity, respect, and a relentless love for the sport. By 2010, Messi had already won his first Ballon d'Or, becoming the youngest player ever to claim the award 3 times in a row. Pundits argued, he's the best in the world right now. Others dared to say, he might be the best ever. Still, questions lingered. Could Messi dominate outside Barcelona's system? Could he lead Argentina to glory like Maradona once had? The debates grew louder, but one thing was certain. Football was living in the age of Messi. And as the world marveled, a rivalry was about to ignite. One that would push Messi to heights even he had never imagined. Football has always thrived on rivalries. Pelé versus Maradona. Brazil versus Argentina. Real Madrid versus Barcelona. But when Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo shared the same stage, the game entered a new dimension. This wasn't just competition, it was mythology being written in real time. By the late 2000s, Messi had established himself as Barcelona's jewel. Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo had conquered England with Manchester United, dazzling fans with his speed, power, and charisma. When Ronaldo moved to Real Madrid in 2009 for a then-record fee of €94 million, the football world braced itself. Spain was about to witness the clash of two titans. And from the moment Ronaldo pulled on that white shirt, El Clasico was never the same again. For nearly a decade, the world stopped whenever Barcelona faced Real Madrid. Messi versus Ronaldo wasn't just a matchup, it was a weekly referendum on greatness. Fans split into camps. Some worshipped Messi's artistry, his natural genius, his effortless brilliance. Others idolized Ronaldo's relentless drive, his athletic dominance, his unmatched work ethic. What made the rivalry so special was how different they were. Messi was the quiet assassin. No flashy gestures, no self-promotion, just pure magic with the ball. Ronaldo was the gladiator. Muscles, charisma, and a determination so fierce it inspired millions. And yet, despite their differences, they needed each other. Messi pushed Ronaldo to break barriers. Ronaldo pushed Messi to surpass them again. Together, they raised football to heights no one thought possible. The numbers were staggering. From 2008 to 2017, Messi and Ronaldo monopolized the Ballon d'Or, sharing the award 9 times between them. Year after year, records fell. Most goals in a season, most hat-tricks in La Liga, fastest to 100 Champions League goals. Every weekend seemed to bring another headline. Messi scores 4. Ronaldo answers with a hat-trick. But beyond the stats, it was the moments that lived in memory. April 2017, El Clasico at the Santiago Bernabéu. Messi, already bleeding from a collision, scored a last-minute winner to silence 80,000 Madrid fans. He held his shirt up to the crowd, showing the name Messi like a brand burned into football history. It was iconic, unforgettable, a statement that he wasn't just winning games, he was defining an era. Ronaldo had his moments too. His goals against Barcelona were thunderbolts, his celebrations electric, his hunger insatiable. When he left the pitch, fans, whether in admiration or fury, knew they had witnessed greatness. Together, they created not just a rivalry, but a theater of dreams. Broadcasters reported record-breaking viewership for El Clasico. Kids in every corner of the globe argued in playgrounds. Messi or Ronaldo? Posters, shirts, video games. It was more than sport. It was culture. And through it all, Messi remained himself. While Ronaldo chased perfection with endless training and self-discipline, Messi seemed born for it. Like football was simply in his DNA. Journalists often asked him about the rivalry. His response was humble. He makes me a better player, and I make him a better player. But privately, those close to Messi admitted, Ronaldo's presence drove him. Every time Ronaldo scored, Messi wanted to score more. Every time Ronaldo broke a record, Messi aimed higher. It was a silent arms race, fought with goals, trophies, and memories that will never fade. For fans, it was a golden age. For historians, it was an anomaly. To witness 2 of the greatest players of all time, at their peak, in the same league, in the same matches, for nearly a decade. That was lightning in a bottle. By the time Ronaldo left Real Madrid in 2018, the rivalry had already reshaped football forever. Messi had more assists, more playmaking genius. Ronaldo had more Champions League glory, more physical dominance. But together, they built a narrative that transcended statistics. Messi versus Ronaldo wasn't about who was better. It was about being lucky enough to live in their era. And while fans debated endlessly, Messi quietly kept building his case for immortality. Because for him, greatness wasn't just about rivalry. It was about legacy. By the end of the 2000s, Lionel Messi was no longer just Barcelona's prodigy. He was football's undisputed superstar. But what followed in the next decade wasn't just dominance. It was history being rewritten in real time. In 2009, Messi won his first Ballon d'Or, awarded to the best player in the world. He wasn't just the youngest Barcelona player ever to win it. He won it by the largest margin in history at that time. His numbers were jaw-dropping. 38 goals in all competitions, countless assists, and a Champions League final performance where he scored a rare header against Manchester United, outjumping defenders far taller than him. And once the door opened, Messi never let it close. From 2009 to 2012, he won 4 consecutive Ballon d'Ors, a feat no one had ever achieved. Each year, he redefined what was possible. In 2010, he led Barcelona to another La Liga title, dazzling the world with his dribbling. In 2011, he tore apart Manchester United again in the Champions League final, scoring and assisting in what Sir Alex Ferguson later called the best team I've ever faced. And then came 2012, the year that shattered every record. In that single calendar year, Messi scored an unbelievable 91 goals for club and country. 91. It was a number that seemed like science fiction, surpassing the record held by Gerd Müller for 4 decades. Hat tricks, poker goals, free kicks, penalties, tap-ins, solo runs. Messi did it all. Defenders couldn't stop him. Goalkeepers couldn't read him. Even fans struggled to comprehend what they were witnessing. That year cemented Messi not just as the best player of his generation, but as one of the greatest of all time. Analysts scrambled to find weaknesses, but there were none. He was scoring, assisting, creating, and controlling matches at a level that felt unfair. And yet, what set Messi apart wasn't just the numbers. It was how he achieved them. He didn't play for personal glory. He wasn't obsessed with being the top scorer. He simply wanted to win for his team. If there was a better pass instead of a shot, Messi always made it. That humility, combined with his genius, made him irresistible to fans and terrifying to opponents. By the mid-2010s, Messi had collected multiple golden boots as Europe's top scorer, lifted numerous La Liga and Copa del Rey titles, and become Barcelona's all-time leading scorer, surpassing Cesar Rodriguez's record of 232 goals. He didn't just break the record, he demolished it, eventually scoring more than 600 goals for the club. One of the most iconic nights came in 2012 against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. Messi scored 5 goals in a single match, the first player in modern Champions League history to do so. Commentators ran out of superlatives. Fans ran out of breath. The world ran out of excuses not to call him the greatest. But greatness comes with weight. Every record Messi broke only raised expectations. Every Ballon d'Or added pressure. People no longer asked if he would score, they asked how many. And still, Messi delivered. Of course, his rivalry with Ronaldo continued to fuel the narrative. While Ronaldo dominated in the Champions League with Real Madrid, Messi dominated in Spain with Barcelona. The football world became addicted to their duel, each record broken by one quickly reclaimed by the other. Yet, through it all, Messi kept writing his own script. By 2015, he had lifted his 4th Champions League trophy, scoring in yet another final. He was named UEFA's best player multiple times. He had turned Camp Nou into a cathedral where every match felt like a miracle. And then came 2019, when Messi won his 6th Ballon d'Or, another record, putting him ahead of every legend before him. His acceptance speech was emotional. He admitted he didn't know how long he had left at the top, but promised he would keep fighting, keep creating, keep inspiring. It was a reminder, Messi's greatness wasn't just about his records. It was about his resilience. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the strongest. But year after year, he carried the weight of expectation and delivered magic that no one else could. By then, the debate wasn't if Messi was the best, it was whether football would ever see someone like him again. And while the world celebrated his brilliance at Barcelona, there was still one cloud over his career, the national team. Could Messi bring the same glory to Argentina that he had given to Barcelona? Could he escape the shadow of Maradona and deliver for his country? That question would haunt him for years, and take him on the most painful, yet most rewarding, journey of his life. For all his glory in Barcelona, Lionel Messi's relationship with the Argentina national team was complicated, almost tortured. In Spain, he was adored like a saint. In Argentina, he was often judged against a ghost, the shadow of Diego Maradona. From the moment Messi debuted for Argentina in 2005, expectations were suffocating. Fans wanted not just brilliance, they wanted miracles, the kind Maradona had delivered in 1986 when he dragged Argentina to World Cup glory. Messi's talent was undeniable, but for many years, his international story was one of heartbreak. The first taste of pain came at the 2007 Copa América final. At just 20 years old, Messi had dazzled throughout the tournament, leading Argentina to the final against Brazil. But when the big night came, Argentina collapsed, losing 3-0. Messi left the field devastated, yet determined. Then came the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Argentina, led by Maradona himself as coach, looked strong. But in the quarterfinals, Germany destroyed them 4-0. Messi didn't score a single goal in the tournament. Critics back home sharpened their knives. He can't do it for Argentina. But the cruelest chapters were still ahead. In the 2014 World Cup, Messi finally seemed destined to silence the doubters. He carried Argentina through the group stage, scoring 4 goals and delivering magical assists. In the semi-final against the Netherlands, he held his nerve in the penalty shootout, guiding Argentina to their first World Cup final in 24 years. The stage was set. The Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. Argentina versus Germany. A chance for Messi to claim eternal glory. For 112 minutes, the match was a tense battle. Then, heartbreak struck. Mario Götze scored a late goal for Germany, sealing a 1-0 defeat. Messi was awarded the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, but when he walked past the World Cup trophy, his face said it all. He didn't want consolation prizes. He wanted the trophy. The image of Messi staring at the Golden Cup, inches away yet out of reach, became iconic and haunting. But the pain didn't stop there. In 2015, Argentina reached the Copa America final in Chile. Once again, Messi was brilliant, but once again, the final slipped away. They lost to Chile on penalties. A year later, in 2016, history repeated itself in the Copa América Centenario final, again against Chile, again on penalties. This time, Messi missed his spot kick. It was too much. After the match, a tearful Messi shocked the world by announcing his retirement from international football. "For me, the national team is over," he said. His words broke hearts across Argentina. The little boy from Rosario, who had given everything, now felt he had nothing left to give. But Argentina wouldn't let him go. Fans, players, even politicians begged him to return. Children held signs in the streets reading, "Don't leave, Leo." The weight of a nation pulled him back. Months later, Messi reversed his decision. "I love my country too much. I want to keep fighting." And fight he did. In 2018, Argentina struggled in the World Cup, barely escaping the group stage before falling to France in the round of 16. Once again, critics circled. Once again, the pressure grew. Some wondered if Messi's international career would end without silverware. But Messi's story was never meant to end in despair. Destiny had other plans. In 2021, Argentina returned to the Copa América final, this time against Brazil, in the Maracanã, the same stadium where Messi had once tasted World Cup heartbreak. This time, it was different. Argentina fought with grit. Angel Di Maria scored the decisive goal, and when the final whistle blew, Messi collapsed to the ground in tears. At last, after years of suffering, Messi had delivered an international trophy for his country. His teammates lifted him on their shoulders, chanting his name. The boy who was once accused of not loving Argentina enough was now their greatest hero. The victory wasn't just a trophy. It was redemption. It was healing. It was proof that Messi's greatness extended beyond Barcelona, beyond Europe. He had finally conquered the one mountain that had always seemed out of reach. But his journey with Argentina wasn't over. One final chapter remained, one that would define his legacy forever. For years, Lionel Messi carried the burden of expectation on his shoulders like a man dragging a mountain. He had won everything with Barcelona: Champions Leagues, league titles, Ballon d'Ors. But without a major trophy for Argentina, critics insisted his legacy would always be incomplete. That all changed in 2021. The Copa América, held in Brazil, was the stage. Argentina hadn't lifted a senior international trophy in 28 years. The pressure was immense. Yet this time, Messi was different. He wasn't just the silent magician. He was the leader, the heartbeat of the team. Throughout the tournament, Messi played like a man possessed. Goals, assists, free kicks, dribbles, he did it all. His teammates fed off his energy, inspired by his hunger. In the semi-final against Colombia, when the match went to penalties, Messi was seen screaming encouragement, even on bloodied ankles. This was not the shy boy of the past. This was a captain ready to bleed for his country. And then came the final against Brazil at the Maracanã Stadium. For Argentines, there could be no sweeter revenge, facing their eternal rivals, in their rivals' backyard, in the same stadium where Messi had once endured World Cup heartbreak. The match was tense, physical, brutal. But in the 22nd minute, Angel Di Maria chipped the ball past Ederson. Argentina led 1-0. For the next 70 minutes, Messi fought, ran, defended, even as cramps nearly brought him down. When the final whistle blew, he fell to his knees in tears. Argentina were champions. Messi had finally delivered. His teammates lifted him high into the Rio night sky, chanting his name. The boy who was once accused of not being Argentine enough was now the symbol of his nation's pride. The Copa América was redemption. But destiny wasn't finished. One more mountain remained: the World Cup. In 2022, Messi arrived in Qatar for what everyone knew would be his last dance on football's grandest stage. At 35, he wasn't the lightning-quick teenager anymore. But what he lost in speed, he gained in wisdom, control, and sheer presence. From the first whistle, Messi looked like a man on a mission. Against Mexico in the group stage, with Argentina's campaign hanging by a thread, he unleashed a left-footed strike from distance that lit up the stadium. Against the Netherlands in the quarterfinal, he delivered one of the assists of the tournament, an impossible, defense-splitting pass only he could see. Each match, he carried Argentina closer. In the semifinal against Croatia, he scored a penalty and orchestrated an unforgettable run past Josko Gvardiol, leaving one of the world's best young defenders frozen as he set up Julian Alvarez for the goal. And then came December 18, 2022, the World Cup final in Lusail Stadium, Qatar. Argentina versus France. Messi versus Mbappe. It was a match for the ages. Argentina stormed to a 2-0 lead, Messi scoring the opener. But in the second half, Kylian Mbappe struck twice in 97 seconds, shocking the world. Extra time arrived. Messi scored again to put Argentina ahead 3-2, only for Mbappe to complete his hat trick from the penalty spot. 3-3. Penalties would decide it all. As the shootout began, Messi stepped up first for Argentina. Calm, ice in his veins. He rolled the ball past Hugo Lloris. One by one, Argentina's players converted, while goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez became a hero with crucial saves. When Gonzalo Montiel buried the winning penalty, Messi collapsed on the turf, overcome with emotion. Teammates swarmed him. The boy from Rosario, once told he was too small, too weak, too fragile, had reached the mountaintop. Messi finally held the World Cup trophy in his hands. The tears, the pain, the criticism, all washed away in that golden moment. Fans across the globe wept with him. Even rival supporters admitted greatness had been crowned. In that instant, Messi wasn't just Argentina's hero. He belonged to the world. The debates were over. The whispers silenced. Lionel Messi was no longer just one of the greatest. He was the GOAT. When Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, the debate was over. To many, he wasn't just the greatest footballer of his generation, he was the greatest of all time. But Messi's story goes far beyond statistics, trophies, and highlight reels. His true legacy lies in what he represents, both on and off the pitch. For nearly 2 decades, Messi redefined the art of football. He showed the world that greatness doesn't require height, muscle, or bravado. It requires vision, discipline, and heart. In a sport often dominated by power and speed, Messi proved that intelligence and creativity could still conquer all. His dribbling wasn't just technique, it was poetry in motion. His passes weren't just accurate, they were symphonies composed in real time. But Messi's impact extends beyond the game itself. For Argentina, he became a unifying force. A country divided by politics, economics, and the endless debate of Maradona versus Messi finally rallied together under his leadership. Streets in Buenos Aires filled with millions celebrating his triumph. Grandparents who had cheered Maradona in 1986 stood side by side with children wearing Messi shirts in 2022. He wasn't just a footballer anymore, he was a national icon. Globally, Messi became the face of humility in an era of celebrity athletes. While many superstars sought the spotlight, Messi often shied away from it. He wasn't the loudest voice in the room, nor the flashiest dresser. He rarely courted controversy. Instead, he let his football speak. That quiet dignity resonated with millions who saw in him a reflection of themselves. Ordinary on the outside, extraordinary in what they loved. Commercially, Messi's reach was staggering. From global sponsorships to video games, from murals in South America to billboards in Asia, his image transcended cultures. Children from Tokyo to Lagos to New York dreamed of being like Messi, not just for his goals, but for his perseverance. For the kid who was told he was too small, Messi became proof that no dream was too big. And perhaps that is his greatest gift. Inspiration. He inspired a generation of footballers who grew up watching him slalom through defenders like ghosts. Young stars like Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, and countless others cite him as their idol. Messi didn't just win matches. He raised the standard of what was possible. Even beyond football, Messi's story touched lives. Families in Rosario tell their children, if Messi could do it, so can you. His journey from a fragile boy needing hormone treatments to the best player in the world became a symbol of resilience, sacrifice, and faith. And his humility never changed. Even after winning it all, Messi continues to avoid arrogance. In interviews, he often credits his teammates, his family, and his grandmother Celia, pointing to the sky after every goal as a reminder of where he came from. As his career winds down, Messi has already left a mark that can never be erased. He gave us records, more than 800 career goals, more than 40 trophies. He gave us moments, the dribble against Getafe, the shirt held up at the Bernabeu, the World Cup kiss. But most importantly, he gave us belief. Belief that the game can still be beautiful. Belief that humility and brilliance can coexist. Belief that no matter how small you are, how many obstacles you face, you can rise. When future generations talk about football, they won't just talk about Messi's numbers. They'll talk about the feeling. The gasp in the crowd when he touched the ball. The silence before he struck a free kick. The joy when he smiled after scoring. That is legacy. Messi's story isn't just the journey of a footballer. It is the journey of a boy from Rosario who turned doubt into destiny, pain into perseverance, and talent into timeless greatness. And long after he's gone, when children kick a ball in the street and imagine themselves gliding past defenders, they won't just be playing football. They'll be playing Messi's game. And so, the story comes full circle. From a fragile boy dribbling on the dusty streets of Rosario, to the captain lifting the World Cup under the lights of Qatar, Lionel Messi's journey is nothing short of miraculous. He was told he was too small, too weak, that he would never make it. And yet, he didn't just make it. He rewrote football's history books. He gave us nights we'll never forget, records we thought were impossible, and moments that made the world fall in love with the beautiful game all over again. Messi's legacy isn't measured only in trophies or goals, but in the joy he brought to millions. He proved that greatness isn't about being the loudest or the strongest. It's about heart, humility, and relentless belief in your dream. And now, we pass the question to you. What does Lionel Messi mean to you? Is he simply the greatest of his era, or the greatest of all time? If you felt goosebumps reliving this incredible journey, make sure to like this video, share it with fellow football fans, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel Sports Stars. Here, we honor the legends, the rivalries, and the stories that shaped the world of sports. Because Messi's story is more than just football. It's proof that no matter where you come from, or what obstacles stand in your way, you can rise. And maybe that's why, when history remembers this era, there will be only one answer to the question, who is the GOAT? The name is Lionel Messi.